I, like so many others, woke up this morning to some break-in surprise and news coming from the LCS Players Association. The walkout vote has overwhelmingly passed. There will not be a start to the 2023 summer split as of now. And I find myself kind of disappointed in this vote from the players. Now, I want to make one thing clear that will no doubtably be missed in my Twitter posts and my Riot comments and everything that I comment on online without my voice, is that I am in support of a better system for amateur players and development for better North American talent to get to top tier. I think making a stand that you guys also want a better system is something that is very admirable, and it's something that should not be overlooked or overshadowed. However, doing it at this time, doing it right now, is really a bad look, and I'm really surprised that there are people in the Players Association who also thought this was a good time and a good look for this. For those of you who are unaware, let me catch you up to speed real quick with everything that led up to this point. During MSI last month, there was an announcement made that the North American Challengers League mandate, not the league, the mandate for teams to have a roster was disbanded. There was no longer a mandated requirement that if you had a top team in North American League of Legends, you also had to fill a Challengers. The league was not disbanded, the mandate was just taken out. Riot announced that, and the players and fans lost their mind because they thought that meant that the league itself was going to be canceled. They got in a little bit too far over their head, and the decision was made that let's just vote on a walkout for a league that is not canceled, but now they spun it into a way that they just want extra demands from Riot in order to move forward with the leagues. And ultimately the players voted on it this weekend and it was passed. And so as of right now, there will be no start to the 2023 summer split, and I think this is just a terrible look, and I think this does nothing but make the gap between esports and traditional sports all that much bigger. Because walkouts in traditional sports like baseball, football, hockey do happen. They happen quite often if you look at it, although there's one big difference between what happens in traditional sports walkouts and esports walkouts. And that is because both parties want to unify and truly do want to come together. In this situation, it really does look like the LCS Players Association are trying to strong arm the billion-dollar company, which is Riot, and it will never go in their favor. Because at the end of the day, the LCS and the Players Association had one card. They had one minuscule amount of leverage, and that was simply the refusal to play. And immediately they played it, and they played it a week before the season started. Because if you're in support of this and you are applauding the players for taking a stand, and you liked the fact that they walked out this close to the season starting, I want to ask you, what is your expectation from Riot now? What do you think Riot is going to do? Because ultimately it comes down to Riot either being a nice guy and helping some of these demands that the Players Association wants, or they just don't have to do anything. But there's no more leverage for the players. There's no more leverage for the LCS themselves. There's nothing. All the cards are on the table, and Riot has done absolutely nothing yet. So in my head, I can only think of a couple things that Riot could do, maybe do, and then I have my prediction as to what will happen. The first thing I see Riot doing is being a nice guy and maybe accepting some of the demands that the players are asking for, but not all of them, and to which both parties seemingly agree to a compromise and the season starts. Because ultimately, if you're an organization, if you're a player, if you're a fan, you don't want the season to not start. You want it to start, and there is still a little bit of time between now and then. I expect there to be discussions all day today and tomorrow, and then we'll know by the 31st if the league is going to start or not. Another thing I see Riot doing is nothing. As we stated earlier, there's really nothing Riot has to do. There is nothing that they are obligated to do. I mean, sure, there's probably a discussion that needs to be had, but Riot could literally just forget about this and move on with the rest of their billion-dollar leagues. Because out of the top regions when it comes to League of Legends, North America and the LCS is the last. It's last in viewership, it's last in international performance, it's last in talent development. So it's literally the last place region trying to strong arm the billion-dollar company into changing things. Now, there's no denying that if this was, say, the LPL, this decision probably wouldn't even be made public, but it also would be taken care of immediately. But when you're talking about the LCS, when you're talking about the North American League of Legends, which is the meme region themselves, I don't really see why this has to be a high priority for Riot. And ultimately, if you are someone who is in support of this and you find yourself cheering and rooting for the players in a situation like this, I guess the only question I have for you is, why would you not be in favor of doing this at the end of the Worlds tournament when there is a much longer break than what there was right now? Why would you not want this to have been something that could happen in the off season, so to speak, rather than right right now when the season's about to continue. Because to me, that's my biggest issue. My biggest issue is that when you've done something like the Players Association have done now, they've essentially strong-armed Riot into making a quick, rash decision that will either affect positively or negatively the future of North American League of Legends. I do think it's something that could be good. I think it could benefit both parties. However, it's the wrong time. It's not now. You should not have done this close to the summer split. You should not have done this to where the league was not canceled. The league was not disbanded. The mandate was. I would understand doing something like this if the league was canceled and players were not playing. But at the end of the day, that's not what happened. I don't think the Players Association fully understood that that's what was going to happen. And I think they just made a rash decision. They dug themselves too deep and they had to do something about it. So now we're all screwed. But I would love to know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comments. Let's have a discussion. I am aware that my opinion is not one of the masses. This seems to be the opinion of very few people. So let's have a discussion about it down in the comments, right? Let's not treat it like a Reddit or Twitter thread where it's just insults. If you disagree or you have a difference of opinion with me, let's talk about it in the comments, guys, because that's the whole reason I wanted to start making these videos, is to have discussions about esports, because there's no sport better than esports. I'll see you guys in the next video.